Hi, everyone. This is Khristee Rich. This is Holistic Me TV. I am your host, and this is a brand new TV show on YouTube. This show is to empower women all around the world with their health and wellness. I am a holistic health expert. I have been doing the work that I do for over 18 years. I love to empower women with their health and wellness. I love to help them to overcome chronic conditions, chronic illnesses, and trauma through a holistic perspective. That means getting to the root cause and treating it mind, body, and spirit, and then offering natural ways and natural remedies to heal. And then I love to help my clients to feel vibrant and then return to joy. So I decided to create this brand new TV show to introduce you to health experts, professionals all around the world who can help you to feel empowered, to improve your health and wellness, and to learn tips, tools, and resources so that you can take action right away, so that you don't feel stuck, and so that you can return to balance. So today I am so pleased to bring on a guest from the UK, and you will learn a little bit about her in a moment. I will read her bio. But before I forget, this is season 1, and we have amazing guests, including Emily. But I want to make sure that you see all of these amazing episodes. So please go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit subscribe, and you will receive notifications about all of these amazing episodes when they release. Okay, so subscribe. You will get an email notification when each episode is released. And also, don't forget to go back and see all the episodes from before this video. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Emily. Okay, so Emily Patricia Fay is devoted to improving the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of individuals and their families through her holistic approach. With a background in mental health and addiction support, Emily combines her skills as a KonMari consultant, energetic home healer, and feng shui specialist to offer uniquely tailored strategies, tools, and support. She creates spaces that ease the minds of her clients, enabling them to thrive. Emily's mission is to enhance our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being by transforming our living and working spaces, bridging the often overlooked connection between physical environments and healing. Welcome, Emily. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to talk to you. I love the work that you do. So,
Thank you.
for the audience who is not familiar with you and the work that you do, can you take us back? Share your story. How did you get into the work that you do today?
Of course, yes. So I've been on quite a healing journey myself. I I struggled with my mental health for a number of years. So since I was put onto um, medication when I was 16, and I was on
Mm,
that in various different forms till I was about 30. So quite a long time, and I wasn't actually offered any sort of talking therapies or any practical support until I was in my 20s. They just put me on medication and left me to be,
oh, oh,
which
gee.
obviously is not the ideal
No,
situation
it's not.
to be in. And not how medication should be used. You know, it has its place, but that's not the ideal way for it to be used. So
Yes.
kind of having been on that for so long, I'd almost lost who I was, because
Mm,
I'd lost that connection with myself. I didn't really know, in your late teens and your early 20s is when you're really sort of developing your sense of self.
yeah,
And I didn't have that opportunity. I was kind of disconnected from my body and mind.
right.
I was
Because
connected.
medication can numb you out. It can dull you down. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it when it's used for that purpose, but it also can stop you having that connection with yourself. And I kind of then when I did start doing some talking therapies and seeing some psychologists and things, it, I was like, I don't get what you're talking about. I don't understand. I don't know how to utilize this in the best way, because what you're asking me, I don't know how to connect with my emotions. I don't know what's going on in my mind and my body, because it's
Mm,
so that I actually don't know. I can't give you the answers. I don't know how to utilize this. So they didn't really have that huge an effect on me. So I actually I wanted to come off the medication, and that was quite a process within itself. And
And they didn't
it
give you
was a
any
kind of,
coping skills. They didn't give you any coping skills to deal with what you were going through mentally. It's just take this medication. Eventually,
yeah,
you had some talk therapy, but they didn't give you any tools or really help you to understand why you were going through the difficulty you were going through.
no, they didn't. I was given opportunities to talk about the things that I had been through and the traumas that I had been through, but there were no actual strategies given to me or tools other
Right.
than the medication. And I was told frequently, well, people, you just have a brain that works differently. You'll have to be on this medication for the rest of your life. And I was like,
Mm,
no, I don't want to. And I had so many side effects from the medication, physical side effects. I ballooned in weight, which then
right.
didn't help my mental health. I
Right.
had loads of other issues, and I kept going to the doctor and saying, I've got these things going on. And they were like, no, it's not to do with the medication.
Mm,
Afterwards, they said, oh, has all this cleared up? And I was like, well, yeah. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, it will do because it was the medication, but we weren't going to
oh,
tell you that because
oh no.
we didn't want you to not take it. And I was like, but you weren't giving me all the information and allowing me to make an informed choice. And I felt completely disempowered the whole time I was on the medication because they weren't honest with me. They weren't helping me, and they weren't listening to me when I was saying, but I don't know who I am when I'm not on this medication. You need to give me an opportunity to see. I was 16. I was a
Mm,
child when
yeah.
you put me on it. Like, I don't know and that one of the side effects is depression and anxiety. So am I still having these episodes because I'm on the medication?
Right.
What's going on? So it was really quite tough. And coming off the medication was a whole thing. Like I had worked in drug rehabilitation actually, and so I had seen a lot of people come off, um, you know, um, street drugs and seen how awful that was.
Mm.
Actually, coming off this, it was horrific. I actually lost the ability to walk.
Oh,
I
really?
couldn't. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't feed myself. I literally, it was the most horrific experience of my life.
Mm,
And it was so scary. And the need to and the want to take that medication again to stop the physical symptoms was huge. And I can see why. It made me have more of an understanding for the people that I had worked with and why addiction and things it's so hard. That physical addiction to substances is really hard to overcome, and you
yeah.
do have to have a real inner strength. I got through it, and because basically I had to go cold turkey because their titration was to go to half a tablet every other day, and every day that I didn't take a tablet, I just spent the day vomiting.
Oh, no.
And said, this is, I can't do this. Like, yeah,
So
and
it
then I'd
really
be
was
okay.
withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. And they were like, that can't be, that's not how it happens. I was like, but it's what's happening to me.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
is
making it
happening.
up. Like, I don't want to be like this. Like, and they had no way of titrating me any other way. There
Ah,
was no option. So I just had to go cold turkey, which obviously they advised against, but I felt I had no choice. So I came off the medication, and I could reconnect with myself again. It was
mm,
a journey. Um, and I started down the route of thinking, okay, well, if I don't want to end up back on medication and I want to heal myself, what are the other ways that I can do that? Like, what are the other options out there? Because there are, and then, it's not so widely it's more widely pushed now, but it wasn't so much then, and it had to dig deep to sort
yeah.
of find these things. In the midst of that, I fell pregnant with my first daughter, and then opened the door to a catalogue of traumas that really pushed me in further into that healing journey, my daughter was diagnosed with a very rare form of leukemia.
Oh, no.
And we were thrust back into the medical world. Obviously, we, lived in the hospital, and she's 9 years old now. She's doing really well.
Good.
She is a miracle case that she for all intents and purposes wasn't supposed to survive. The odds were very, very stacked against her.
Wow.
But she did. And we did use a holistic approach where possible during that process. And we very much took a holistic approach afterwards. We were put in situations where she was vomiting up every feed after her treatment, and they said, well, that's just what happens, and whatever. And they were like, oh, just, yeah. So she was on feeds that went, nasal feeds. We got her off those because we persevered and we helped her, and we used holistic approaches to support her to get off of those. We didn't follow their nutritional advice about stuffing her full of sugar to put weight back on. We,
Stuffing her
used,
full of
yeah.
sugar. Oh my goodness, that weakens the immune system. That doesn't make any sense.
And cancer feeds off sugar, right?
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Yeah. And it's empty calories, but they just want them to get over the threshold of weight. And we were like, no, we didn't do any of that. We went completely against their advice, and we, we sought other nutritional advice, because she then as well, she had very severe eczema. She was bleeding all the time from scratching.
No.
And again, they said, this is what happens. Here's steroid cream.
Oh.
She'll just have to have steroid cream for the rest of her life. And we went,
Not getting to
no.
the root cause, not understanding what caused it, just more medication, either internal or topical. Yeah.
So we went down, we got her tested, and we eliminated all of the intolerances that she had. We worked on her gut health.
Good.
And we built her up. And I do think that how well she's doing now is, attributed to that, and to the work that we still put in with her now. And we used, we used essential oils, we used homeopathy, batch flower remedies, everything. We tackled it from emotional levels, from physical level, just everything. We really researched, we educated ourselves on all of these different holistic tools.
Good. Very
we
proactive.
had, yeah, well, it makes you reassess things when you go through something like that. And I was pregnant with my second daughter through the whole of her treatment. And just as she came out of hospital 2 weeks before my daughter was born, my mother very suddenly passed away.
Sorry.
Tragically. And it only ever been me and my mum. So it was like my whole world had crumbled.
Wow.
So yet again, it was this opportunity that I see it now as an opportunity for me to dig deeper into that healing, and to really look at what tools and strategies there were out there to help me navigate through these sort of events, because we can't avoid these traumas in our life. Things will happen.
Yes.
Okay, so some of us might have more traumas than others, but things will happen. And how do we navigate through that? So I started doing a lot of a lot of learning, not just on the physical stuff from my daughter, but also on that emotional healing.
Good. Very good.
And during that process, I actually I ended up with a diagnosis of autism,
And very late in life.
very late in life. Yeah.
Yes, most people are
And this was
diagnosed
a
when
huge.
they're children. So how did you get diagnosed later in life as an adult?
So it was picked up that my middle daughter was potentially autistic, and I was like, well, she's a carbon copy of me.
Yeah.
My issues. What's going on here? And I suddenly was like, oh, something, is potentially going on for your child, you research it, right? Well,
Absolutely.
if you're neurodivergent, now I know you get hyper focused and you research everything. So I researched and I was like, oh my God, this is me. And suddenly I was like, oh, if this is me, if this is how my brain works, and I've not been understanding that, and the people
Yeah.
around me haven't been understanding that, did I have mental health problems, or did I have a brain that worked differently
Yeah.
that wasn't being supported? And
Very
all of
good.
a sudden,
Very good that
it
you've
gave
realized that.
me, yeah, it gave me the ability to forgive myself and
Mm,
those around me, and to actually go, okay, it's okay for me to struggle with these things. It's okay for me to need to have routine. It's okay for me to find change really difficult. It's okay for me to, find socializing really tiring and draining. It's okay for me to have sensory issues and find light really difficult and sound. And
mm,
all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I get to build my toolkit now because I get who I am. I understand myself. I understand what's going on for me. So now when
wonderful.
I'm learning about these different things, I can go, oh, that will actually help me. That will help me in that situation. And that will help and also for my daughters as well, for me to be able to, I talk very openly with them about the things that are going on for them and how I'm learning about their brains and the way they work. And I'm very open with them that I don't treat them the same because they're three individuals.
Hmm.
And I go, it's not fair because she gets to do that. And I said, no, it wouldn't be fair if I treated you all the same. It's fair that I make sure that all of your individual needs are met and they're met in the way
Yeah.
that's right for you. And
Yeah.
we very much, push that because they each have their own little toolkit. It's not the same. We don't have like a family toolkit. We have a whole load of tools and strategies that we all talk about and we learn about so
Wonderful.
that we can all draw on the ones that we need and the ones that work for us. And
Mm,
that's what is so important. And I think that's where it's quite difficult, the medical world that we're sort of brought up with, that
yes. Yes.
one size fits all. It's like, okay, you've got this, here's this medication. And it's like, but have you, just because they've got that condition, what else is going on for them? Is that the right medication for them? Because it's not looked at holistically.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that, we can't do that. And that's what I enjoy is, knowledge, the different knowledge is out there, the things to learn. Like I'm constantly learning about new things. My daughter did a junior herbalist course and I loved
Oh,
it because I
wow.
wanted
How
to learn all
interesting. As a
about
child to learn herbalism, that's fantastic.
how it was absolutely fabulous. And she, I went with her and I learned so much
Of
about
course.
all these different herbs and how to utilize them. And, we've got stuff growing in our gardens that we can just use to
Yes, to
boost
heal
ourselves
ourselves.
and heal ourselves. And it's empowering. I had been disempowered for so much of my life.
So long.
And
So
I
long.
now feel empowered with
Wonderful.
tools. And that's what
That you can pass down to your children, which is so powerful,
I
not
then
just
went on
yourself.
to further sort of, yeah, exactly that. I think, the younger you learn this stuff, the better, because you just grow up using that. My daughters, if they're like, oh, um, if they're scared to go to bed or whatever, they might ask me, sometimes they ask me to go and like sage the bedroom, or they'll ask me to, can I choose a crystal to take to bed with me to
Beautiful
make me
that
feel
they
safe or
know
whatever.
about these tools at such a young age. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. So let me
Yeah.
unpack what you said, because you've said a lot of important things, and I can tell that you are a great mother. So kudos to you to be a conscious mother, because again, this is so important that we are conscious and mindful
Mm.
these days. It means everything, not only for ourselves, but our relationships with others and also with our children. Passing down this information, being conscious, being mindful is so important for everyone's benefit. So I want to talk about some things that you brought up. Very inspirational story. I love your story. story. And of course, there's more to share. But one, I want to bring the awareness for people that autism in women is often misdiagnosed because autism in women appears differently than in boys, than in men. So it's very important because most of the research has been on young boys. And so they'll post online what the different symptoms, different indications that your child can be autistic. And they say that it happens mostly with boys and not with girls, but it's also because they're looking for different things. And that's why you were misdiagnosed. And that's why they never caught it. And that's why they thought you had a mental illness instead of you being different and needing some different tools. So very, very important that one, women are aware of this. So if you're really struggling, if you're really feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you can't get over things mentally, it could be that you are autistic, that you're on the spectrum, or it could be other sensory disorders. So it's very important that you are aware of this and also aware that it can pass down through the generations. So for instance, you are a mom and now your daughter may be autistic as well. I don't know if she was actually diagnosed. I know you said she was tested, but it can pass down. It can pass down to our children. So very important for people to know, oh, if your child has it, maybe you wish to be tested too, just for confirmation so that you know how to treat yourself. And also what you were saying about the Western medicine world, very, very important to star this, to underline this. Of course, we know about this because of our health journeys, but a lot of people are not aware that Western medicine is not about holistic health. It is not about getting to the root cause. Instead, if you have a symptom, then they may say, okay, you have this symptom, take this medication. If they can diagnose you, they love to give diagnoses and say, okay, this is the condition that you have. It's incurable. There's nothing you can do. You can take this medication for the rest of your life, but that's all I can offer you. Or there is no medication. And that's why they say it's incurable, because there's nothing even they can give you. But if you understand holistic health and wellness, you understand for every chronic condition, every chronic illness, even traumas, there is a root cause. And once you understand the root cause, you can treat it holistically, mind, body, and spirit, and naturally through natural remedies and natural ways. So this is empowering information for people to know that even if you've been given a diagnosis, you can still improve naturally. It is possible. So we need to open up our understanding and realize there's a whole other world out there besides Western medicine, even though, of course, Western medicine has a place and can help us. But we can empower ourselves with tools so that we can improve our health and wellness too.
Exactly. And they can sit alongside each other. There's, I would always go for alternative ways of supporting my health. But, there is a place for Western medicine in certain things, but it needs to work holistically with other things. Like, it does just, they shouldn't be separate. They need to come together because, that's how it becomes empowering. It becomes, about, and it's about looking, like you said, it's about looking at the individual. And I think when we understand ourselves as well, this kind of, there's a lot of sort of negative press going around about so many people getting diagnosed with neurodivergence at the moment and all of these things. And it's like, but why does that bother you? Like, these people are just trying to get an understanding of who they are. And for me, these diagnoses have helped me to understand myself, but I don't really need those labels in the sense of all of our brains are uniquely different. And that's why these things are so hard to diagnose, because there are no two autistic people or people with ADHD who are exactly the same. So you can't just have a set of tick boxes to say, oh, that, therefore you're this, because everyone's brain's uniquely different. But what it does help you to do is it helps you to understand that, where you might need extra support and where you might need to be kinder to yourself, where you might need to be able to sort of change the way that you do things. Society doesn't support unique brains. It's set
They
up
don't
to support
understand. They don't
what they
understand.
would refer to as typical. Yeah, yeah, and it's such a our world is it overloads the senses so much with everything that is out there that it's no wonder there are so many people seeking the need for a diagnosis, because people are being becoming unwell with
So many
trying
people.
to function in society in a traditional sense. And that's where I went on to do. I started doing a lot more research, in kind of in that bid to empower myself, and I was looking at lots of different techniques, and I discovered Marie Kondo, and I read her book, and I started working on my home. And up to that point, I had done so much inner work. I had done a lot of worked with a lot of physical remedies, and I'd done a lot of spiritual work, a lot of healing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, something's not quite flowing here. Something's not quite that there felt like there was a missing puzzle piece. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why is this not working quite? And
Mm.
as I started to work on my physical space, suddenly everything clicked into place. Suddenly, I took leaps forward in my healing journey.
Mm.
I'd been kind of stuck for a while. And it was really it fascinated me. It fascinated me that by moving physical objects, letting go of physical objects, I could actually, release things from myself and move things through myself. I was like, how is this working? And I wanted to explore it more, which is why I started studying the feng shui as well, and really getting into. I'd done a lot of energetic healing, and worked with physical spaces in terms of that. I'm a Reiki healer, and so I had worked with my physical space and done a lot of healings on homes and stuff before I did this, but actually understanding the logistics of a home, the importance of the direction that things are in, the importance of where
Mm.
place items in your home, and the effect of decluttering and organizing your home, and how much it can actually affect your physical health. I'd read Louise Hay's
Mm.
stuff. I understood about that we can hold on to things and that can make us unwell and all of those things. I understood that, but actually seeing it physically happen, to see myself physically bloom and blossom by letting go of
Yeah.
things from my house and by balancing and harmonizing the energies in my home, it kind of blew my mind a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's made me passionate to want to share that with other people, because you know it is so important, our physical spaces. We need that. When you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, shelter is really, really important. That feeling
Yeah.
of safety, security, and protection. And actually, we spend so much time in our physical environment, and we're all aware that if you go, you want to feel better, get out in nature and
Yes.
be around, but actually we can create an environment within our homes that is as nurturing as being out in nature, that actually, our homes are our safe haven. They're our space to come, to be nurtured, to be
Yeah.
held, to
Yeah.
be supported. And so many of our homes are not doing that for us. Then they're
Mm.
working against us. And um,
Yeah. So
people
many of
are
our homes are not our sanctuaries. They're a
no.
place that creates more stress.
Yeah, exactly that. And then if you look at children, even more so, because they're so affected by their environment. They're absorbing stuff all the time, children, and they it's there's so much research to prove that if they're in certain environments, children thrive,
Yes.
because if it's calm, it's organized and all of those things. And so you need to create that within the home. Then you're going to, I've had people where that, families, the dynamic has just completely changed, and there's been
Yeah.
calm, there's been fewer
So describe
arguments.
from your personal experience, how did it personally change you? How did it personally change your family dynamics?
Yeah, of course. So for me, So I didn't realize what I was holding on to. There was a lot of stuff that I was holding on to. A lot of, I had a memory box and it was stuffed with loads of things. And that was a really interesting thing to go through, because I was like, oh, I'm holding on to these things that actually, do I need to hold on to these? Like, I'm holding on to the past. Now, I'm not saying you go and get rid of everything from your past, because you don't
Right.
want, but there are certain things, I had things from my school days, and then I was like, but I wasn't happy at school.
Mm.
A lot of these people that wrote in these books to me, these yearbooks, bullied me. Why am I holding on to this energy? Why am I holding on to this? And it was empowering again to let go of those items.
Mm-hmm.
And that physical letting go allowed me to emotionally let go of those things. Where I'd done some healing, it was kind of like that last connection,
Mm.
really letting go of that. And also, so the KonMari
Yes.
method focuses on joy. So
Yes.
it
So can you
focuses
explain for
on,
those who are
yeah.
not familiar, who is Marie Kondo and what
So
was
Marie
their,
Kondo,
go ahead.
yes, so she is she's a Japanese lady, and she is a tidying expert. She discovered, so she's been passionate about tidying all her life, and but she used to always struggle with methods. She'd try a method and then everything would get chaotic again, and she was like, oh, why is this not working? And so she then over a number of years, she created her own method. And the uniqueness of her method is one, that you declutter everything first before you think about organizing your home. So you don't go out and buy like more sort of storage options and stuff. You go through everything, and you go through it category by category. You don't do room by room.
Mm.
So that you're actually looking at the whole of something, like how many you've got of everything,
So what do you
you're
mean
not.
by example of a category?
So a category is, so you have clothes, then there's books, then paperwork, then she calls the rest of the categories kimono, but that's further broken down into kitchen kimono, into bathroom kimono, and sorry, there's a little fly flying around me. And so you break it down, and then you break it down even further, so that you would sort all the scissors together, for example, but you would get them from the other spaces that you might be keeping them, so that you see how many you've got of that, and
Mm-hmm.
actually, do you need that many?
Mm-hmm.
and and that kind of thing. And then sentimental items is the last category, which you do save until last. So anything that you discover in any of those categories, so if you've got a book that's sentimental, or paperwork that's sentimental, you push it to the sentimental category, and you do it at the end, because by that point you've kind of honed your decluttering skills, and you're more able to look at it effectively and make those decisions, because you've made so many decisions up to that point, and you've shifted so many energies within your home by making those decisions, that you're more able to effectively make those decisions about items that have more attachment.
And what does it
um,
mean if someone has a messy home or if they're a hoarder? What does that mean about them?
So for me, what it means, I very much talk about, when we are decluttering our home, when we're organizing, when we're cleaning our home, it's actually a self-care activity. When we're nurturing our homes, we're actually nurturing ourselves,
Mm.
because our physical spaces become an extension of who we are.
Yes.
And if we're not looking after those spaces, it tends to be a reflection of how much we're looking after ourselves, how much we're prioritizing ourselves, prioritizing our needs.
Mm.
And it can actually directly reflect our level of self-worth, our level of self-love and feeling enough.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it tells me a lot about someone's home, how it is, because, you know, it can also be a direct reflection of what's going on in our minds. So if you've got a
Yeah.
chaotic mind, you very often have a chaotic home,
Yeah.
because the nature of the chaos that's going on in here will become reflected in the chaos that's going on, and vice versa. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a cycle
Yes, they
that
say as within, so without. So that means the inner world will be shown on the outer world what's happening. And I love how you said it's both ways, because it's also if you clean up the outer world, then your inner world will be more peaceful, will be more clear and balanced. So this is very important, very
exactly
beautiful.
that. And
Mhm.
that's where the name of my business came from: calm space, calm mind. If your space is
Mm,
calm, then your mind is going to be calm.
yeah.
So it's a great way, it's a great place to start,
And what
because
about trauma? May I
sometimes,
ask about trauma really quickly? So those who have experienced trauma, and we all have, and it's unresolved, can that also be shown in their home through their messiness and
mhm,
disorganization?
yes, absolutely. And there can be a lot of trauma around the need to hold on to items,
Mm,
that connection, that fear of things being taken away from them, that not having had things when they were younger. So therefore this need to have loads of
bling.
stuff now to
Yeah.
kind of, again, it linked to self-worth and feeling enough, that they feel that they need to fill their homes with stuff to kind of give them that feeling of, I can have all of these things. There's often, I work a lot with people who are neurodivergent, and when you have an ADHD brain, there's an impulse to spend, and there's that kind of addictive personality. So often people have homes filled with stuff that they don't use. There's also starting hundreds of different sort of hobbies and
Yes.
things like that,
Filling
and
your life and then
buying
you're too
everything to go
busy.
along with that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. I
yeah. So
understand that.
definitely you can see that, and often as well there can be the traumas of losing someone,
Yes.
and
Agree.
then having those items and finding it hard to let go of those items. And this is why I like to take a very holistic approach. It's not, for me, you can't go in and work with someone's space without also tackling the mindset and tackling what's actually going on for someone, because you can, but that's not actually going to, again, it's about going to the root cause. We can all go in, I can go in, I can clean, I can tidy, I can organize someone's home, but I can guarantee that I will have to go back in 6 months, a year's time, and do it all over again, because we haven't got to the root cause. And
Yeah.
when you do that, it's kind of, that's akin to Western medicine and the way they do things. But actually, if you take the holistic approach and you actually get to the root cause of why people
Mm,
are, actually, their homes have got into that condition, or that people feel out of control with keeping on top of their home. Once you get into that, that's when you can actually create a difference for people, where they're actually going to maintain that. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to have a show worthy home for the rest of their life and they're never going to
sure.
have any chaos and stuff,
Right. We're all human.
but yeah,
We're
yeah,
all human. Nobody's perfect.
quite
Yeah.
exactly, and life happens. Like, I don't have a perfect home, but I have a home that I can get on top of again very easily.
Yeah.
If I have, you know, a busy time, or, I go through another trauma or whatever, and things get a bit out of control,
You can
I
get
can
back on
get
track.
back. I've got systems in place. I've got tools. I've got strategies. I know how to, um, work through those, how to create spaces that are still going to nurture and support me, even through those times, even if things are still a little bit chaotic. I've got 3 young
Beautiful.
children. My
Yes,
home
yes.
is not
It's hard
a
with
worthy
children.
home.
It's hard with children to be perfect. Everyone do not strive for perfection. This is not about perfection. But I
No,
do
no, no.
want to star something that you said, Emily, that I think is really important, is that one, we may need someone to help us, someone to
Mm,
come into our homes and help us, because it can be overwhelming. It can be
mm,
very emotional. It can be very draining for some of us. For me, I really dislike going through papers. I have so many papers. I'm a writer. I just write down everywhere to keep track of
Mhm.
everything, but then to go back and to sort and to read all that stuff, oh, it's so draining. And then I just have a lot of digital clutter. I have a lot of photos, I have a lot of videos. And I'm like, how do I organize all this? Because as a business owner, I feel like I need to keep on creating the videos,
Mhm.
keep on creating the photos. So I think it is important to have someone to assist us, to be a guide like yourself, and to realize that even if you work with someone and they do all the work for you, you're going to go back to the same patterns and habits afterwards. So you really need to work with someone like yourself who will go to the root cause. Okay, why is your bedroom so messy? Why do you never pick up your clothes? Why are they always on the floor? Why do you have so much that is not organized? So really getting understanding of
Yeah.
why you do what you do so that you can change the habits and behaviors, and also so you can heal it, right? So
Yeah,
if you feel that there's something
absolutely.
missing, like you said, like you've got to fill it with objects, how can you
Mm.
fill it inside instead?
Yeah, exactly that. And it's really important that you say that, because I was talking at an event with a lot of other professional organizers, and we were saying how we need people to come and help us, because
Mm,
actually, just because we can do it for other people, you're doing this for someone else is, it's much easier than doing it for yourself. And I can do it for myself, but also I can't see everything because I'm in
mhm.
it. So
Yeah.
having these outside eyes sometimes is so helpful. I I say a professional organizer, or someone who helps with your home, it's like having a personal trainer. We know what to do. We can watch the videos, we can do all of those things, but actually, if you really want to make the difference and you want to make sure it's working specifically for you and your body, then having a personal trainer working alongside you and really sort of focusing on you, you're going to get the best results.
Yes.
And it's the same with an organizer, because they're going to tailor that exactly for you. And it's the same, as I say, I'm not afraid of asking for help sometimes,
Yes.
because
We need to.
someone else's eyes can go, well, actually, have you thought about doing this? Or actually, why
Yeah,
have you got 3 of those? Do you really need them? Sometimes I need
exactly.
someone to ask me the questions, because I
Because you're
can ask
so
them.
in it. You can't see. You
Yeah,
can't see
you,
everything.
you can't see everything. And
And we're human. We like to work with
mm,
other people. To do everything on our own all the time is a drag.
not
It's a lot
designed.
of
We're not
pressure.
designed to do that.
And it's not
You
fun. It's not fun. It can be fun to work with somebody, put on some music. Okay, let's go through your closet. Let's figure out, oh, you do not need that anymore. That's so
Yeah,
out of fashion. That, oh, it's not your color. It
yeah.
makes it a lot more, human, a lot more like, okay, I'm not supposed to just be perfect. I can
Mhm.
have this human experience. So I
Yeah,
think that's very important for people to know too. So if someone is on the journey of decluttering and doing the whole Marie Kondo, and also wanted to mention that she also does talk about this being an act of joy, to really pick objects that spark joy, right? And I think some
yeah,
people are like, well, what if I've got a lot of objects that don't spark joy? I don't really concentrate on joy. What if that's everything? But anyway, if they are feeling, I want to do this, I'm ready for it, but I'm so overwhelmed. I just can't do it. Like, where do I begin? Well, what do you recommend for that person? I know you said the categories, but again,
yeah. Yeah, so for me, it is really about breaking things down, because when we look at the whole, and even when we look at a whole category, it can be like, well, I can't do that. If you look at clothes and you're like, well, I've got like drawers stuffed with things and wardrobes overflowing, and where do I even start with this? You need to break it down even further. You need to just start with your socks or something, and just go through your socks and get rid of all the ones that. And when we talk about joy is different for everybody, but joy can be simply that, get rid of all the socks that got holes in, right?
mm-hmm,
Or
mm-hmm,
like falling
yeah,
apart. Or if want to have bright colored things, and get rid of all the stuff that it doesn't excite you because it's not a bright color, or whatever um needs to spark joy for you. And I get lots of questions on this, because people are like, oh, but what if I need stuff for work, or I've got all of these that don't spark joy for me. And it's like, but does it spark joy for you because it allows you to do something? Does it spark joy for you because it allows you to do your job, which gives you the money to do the things that you want to do? You have to think outside the box in terms of joy, because it might not directly give you joy, but it could spark joy for you because it allows you to do other things, to have a, you know, your cleaning products might not spark joy for you, but they spark joy because they keep cleaning
Yes, a clean home. Yes.
home for you, you know. Definitely. And start with, you know, the other thing is, so the easiest things to do is to get rid of items that are, you know, have got a worn out, a
Yeah,
broken,
that you know you
whatever.
don't like, but you're like,
No,
okay,
you
I
don't.
can easily get rid of that. Start there.
And also focus on the thing. Pick your favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite things, you know, the things that you wear all the time, or the things that you know, go to all the time, or start just noticing what does spark joy for you within your home. And, you know, and if that is not very many things, then start thinking, why is that? Why have I not got things in my home that spark joy for me? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's a really interesting thing to start looking at. And it can be, you know, a bit affronting to kind of face something like that, but actually, again, that's a very telltale sign of trauma, or of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not having self-worth, not feeling like you're good enough to have things that you actually spark joy for you. Have you just filled your home with generic items that you feel you should have, or are you
Mm-hmm.
trying to please others? Have you
Or
got,
maybe low cost items. Maybe you're like,
or
I can't spend very much on myself, so everything's got to be really cheap. But you got all these little cheap things, but you don't love it. Instead of having one item that you love, you have all these little cheap gadgets that you don't really need, but they're just
yeah,
there. Yeah.
and also gifts from other people. That's a huge thing that
Oh,
he talks about. You know, have you got hundreds of things that you are keeping out of, you know, feeling like you have to?
right.
Um,
Please the other
because
people.
she says a really sort of, it's quite a controversial, but I think quite a good way of looking at it. She said that the minute someone's given you an item, the the act of giving is the gift, if that makes sense. So
Yes,
the
yes,
item becomes obsolete after that. What you do with it
yes,
doesn't take away from the fact that you are grateful for the gift they gave you,
yes.
and
It's the
that
intention.
moment,
It's the
yeah,
intention
the
that the person
intention
wanted to
there.
give you a gift, and then you can decide you can give it away. You can give it to
Yeah.
someone else who,
And that shouldn't have an effect on them. It shouldn't matter, because you've still received, you've still been grateful, they've still given, but
yeah,
you shouldn't have to need to hold on to that item
yes.
to, you know, show them that you're grateful, and for that exchange to have not been purposeful.
Good point. Good
So
point.
that's another sort of whole category that people really struggle with, gifts from other people.
Let me ask a big question. So, if we are on
Yeah.
our journey and we are doing the decluttering and we're working with someone like you and we're really making progress, but we live with someone else who is messy, who is a hoarder, who isn't on the same boat. One, does that affect us? Can that affect us with our health? Can that still affect us with our mental wellness? And what can we do if the other person's not on board and we're like, I gotta have a clean house. I've gotta do this for myself. This is important.
So I have this a lot with partners, and also with children. But
Yeah.
what all of my clients find is that when you start this process, um, people are affected by what's going on around them. And it only has a positive effect. Like, it literally doesn't have a negative effect. So particularly children, but often with partners as well, they see the change in you, and they feel the change in the home, and they will start to make changes themselves. They may not want to get on board with your process and the way you're doing it. They want to do it their own way, but they really will get on board. Now, yes, their stuff can have an effect on you, but when you're working with with anything holistically, it's all about intention. You mentioned intention before. It's all about intention. And when you're intentionally working with your home in a positive way and your items, you are going to override a lot of that
Mm.
negativity and a lot of the stuff that is potentially being held and harbored by, you know, anyone else's sort of clutter and stuff within your home. So definitely not, if you start to worry and become fearful of that, you're going to be affected by it. So it's about focusing on your own stuff, focusing on
Mm.
your journey and
Focus on
your,
what you can't control.
exactly that. And you will be shocked by the impact it has on those around you, because they will feel it and they will see it and they will want a bit of it.
Yes,
It
yes.
just happens, like, you know, yeah. And that's not to say that they're going to, you know, all of a sudden be not messy or not a hoarder, but
Hmm.
they will make change.
Yes, and every little bit helps. Yes. And I've seen this, my nephews have been visiting, and of course, kids make mess. They're 3 years old, they're twin boys. But I have been, teaching them to clean up, and they have been cleaning up more. So you give them the task to do it, they do want to help. Sometimes kids don't know all the things to do to help to clean up, but they do want to help. So give them little tasks and they'll be happy to be little helpers. So we're almost out of time. Let me ask a few quick questions. How does
Mhm.
one declutter digitally? Is there a way, a system to make it easy? You talked, we talked before this, and you mentioned a tool that can help if you got a lot of tabs open, if you're like me. So can you share some of those tips and resources for digital clutter?
Yeah. So there are lots of apps and add-ons and things that are coming out now to help people with digital clutter, because it's becoming, you know, it's a fairly new phenomenon because of how technology has developed so rapidly and how we're so reliant on it now. It's great that we're a paperless society, but we've just shoved it all on our digital
I
stuff.
know, I
Um,
know.
so, and digital clutter can be one of the hardest things to go through because it can be quite time consuming and it's quite
Yeah.
triggering for a lot of people, because, you know, there's not the kind of satisfaction that you get from actually physically removing things from your home. Um, so there are lots of, as I say, there's lots of apps that really help you to kind of
Can you
keep on
give a
top of.
few examples?
Yeah, so there's one. I can give some examples. I don't know how global they are, so I
That's okay.
apologise if
That's okay.
they are not available everywhere. But there's one that I have been introduced to recently called FYO, FYIO, and it's a fabulous tool for storing all of your paperwork and all of your documents. It's completely safe. It's as safe as internet banking, so
Mm.
you all of your important documents on there, insurances and all of those kind of things. And it does things like automatically delete the old one once you put the new one in. It will
Oh,
send you notifications to say your insurance is going to run out soon, or you need to update this or whatever. So that's a really great tool to keep on top of all those kind of important documents and things, particularly when people are a bit nervous about storing that kind of stuff online and things as well. There's we talked about before I came on, one tab. Like if you're like either of us and you like to have lots of tabs open and you don't want to close them because you'll forget where they are, it kind of shunts all the tabs along and it puts them in a list on just its one tab under the date. And so if you want to go back to a tab, you can just go on there and look down the list and click on that one and it will reopen it. So you haven't got that visual clutter at the top of your screen, and you're not sort of slowing your computer down with having all of these tabs open and that kind of thing. And also it's, for me, it's a security blanket. I very rarely even go back to it because I think I'm going to go back to all these tabs and I never do. Like all the screenshots that I have that I
Yes,
They're never,
yes, I know. Oh my
but it
goodness.
makes me feel better. And it allows me to, not have such a cluttered mind because I'm not looking at so many things. But with digital clutter, again, it's about taking it in small
Chunk.
chunks.
Hmm.
But when you sort of look at it as a whole, it is overwhelming. For me, I find I work with my clients in creating different folders and things because once you've got things in a kind of in
Yeah,
folders,
system,
much
organization.
easier. Yeah, it's systems. With digital
Yeah,
clutter, it's systems
systems are
because
important.
it's not so much about necessarily getting rid of stuff because all the photos and the videos and stuff can be really useful and you do go back to them, but it's about just tidying it up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know where everything is and you actually can utilize it because otherwise we've got all of this digital stuff and we don't know how to find any of
Yeah, we
it,
can't find it. We spend so much time searching. For me,
Yeah.
the thing that drives me crazy is my iPhone, and I've got all those photos on there, and I don't think there's a way to make folders just for business. So I can say these are just business photos and these are my personal photos. Maybe there is, but I didn't know, so I just have all my photos all together. So I'm
Yeah.
like, iPhone, can you help us? Can you help us to be a little bit more organized, you know?
So I'm on Android. I have a Google phone, so you can make folders. Um,
Okay.
but there definitely is a need for more ease with photo storage. I know a lot of people use like Dropbox and places so that they can drop
Yeah.
everything in there and you
Mhm.
can make folders, but it is hard to I can make folders on Google, but they're not accessible from all devices and things, and they're
Yeah.
not necessarily easy to use. So there's definitely photo storage digitally. That's something that I'm constantly researching to find the best ways for that because the kind of the technology has our use of the technology has increased quicker than they've developed
Yeah.
systems for kind of
And I think
keep
this
on
is
top
a
of
newer problem, right? This is a newer problem having all
it.
this digital clutter. We didn't used to have this problem. So I think we were not really conditioned from a young age to really learn how to organize and make folders and yada, yada,
Yeah,
yada. So now we're like, oh my goodness, now it's out of control. What do I do now? And
exactly. And
technology, go ahead.
some of your viewers might have like the solutions and know, so please like put
Yes.
in the comments or let
Put it
us
in the
know.
comments. And any apps, any suggestions, any systems, put them in the
We're
comments. This is
open
for
to
everyone.
anything. Yeah, I always want to know new ways because it is still such a new thing, technology, and the
Yes.
way that we are using it that, I don't know every storage
Oh,
solution
of
for that.
course not. Yeah.
So I'm always open to learning more about the digital side of things because it is still such a new market.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, listeners out there, we want to hear from you. If you got some systems, if you got some solutions, post them, put them down. We all need to be more organized and to have less clutter, physical as well as mental and as well as digital, right? So
Yeah.
we're basically out of time, Emily. I could talk and talk and talk with you. I have so many more questions, but tell the audience a little bit about the work that you do with your clients, how you work with your clients, and anything else you'd like to explain to them so they understand the work you do.
Yeah, of course. So I work one-to-one with clients and I do a lot of my work virtually. So I do work globally
Mhm.
because one of the things that I do, it's about empowering people to do this themselves. So it doesn't matter if we're not together because I'm not going to do it for you
Right,
because that's not how we get to the root cause of it. That's not how I get to empower you.
right.
Um, so you can definitely, I definitely work with people one to one. I also have a couple of memberships coming out because off the back of making my services more accessible for people. So I have a membership coming out that is Calm Space, and that is focused around body doubling sessions. So where you can get on with your organizing and stuff, but within a group. A group calls so that you've got that accountability and you've got that companionship to get on with those tasks. And there's also loads of tools and strategies for you to get involved with, and monthly calls to sort of work on all that mindset transformation and sort of reframing of things and all the stuff that comes up through the process of decluttering and organizing. And then I have another one, Calm Mind, which is more focused around the feng shui side of things, and also the energetic home healing. So I talk a lot more about crystals and angels and how to work with those in your home, how to work with the energies that are going on in the present moment and stuff. So that's another way to work with me as well, is in those kind of group memberships. And yeah, so you can contact me. I have a website, www.calmspacecalmmind.com. And I also have Instagram, calmspace_calmminds. So they're the two places that I'm most active, and you can find out all about me. But definitely, if you want any information, just message me. I love hearing from people and connecting with people. And, we've talked a bit about the autism and diagnosis and stuff. And if you are, wondering about anything like that, please reach out, because it's, I'm really open in talking about all of that, and really happy to support anyone that is sort of just exploring that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing the work that you do. We have a lot in common. We're about a holistic approach. We're also both about joy. I love that we're both to help our clients to feel joyful and to, feel good mind, body, and spirit. Our mental well-being is so important, and our physical space, our homes are a reflection of us. They're an extension of our aura. They are so important, and we need to create these sanctuaries. So many of us are all about hustle, go, 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 create the outside world, but it's so important for us to feel good inside. So again, as within, so without, and also the mirror as well. If you have a beautiful, clean place that makes you feel good, that's going to make you feel good, right? So it's a reflection. So everyone, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode with Emily. Please give us a like. Please share this video so more people can learn about Emily and the work that she does. And also don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe so that you can watch the whole series of Holistic Me TV. I have amazing guests from all around the world. So go ahead and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And also don't forget, go back and check out previous episodes as well. So please post your comments, please post your questions below. All of Emily's information is below for you to reach out to her, to connect with her, but definitely leave a question if you have one. We will circle back, but I think we covered a lot today. We covered how you can overcome, mental well-being or feeling unwell mentally, and how clearing your space can help health conditions, right? People may not think about that. You can help to improve autism, and there is a spectrum. So it is important for you to realize there is a spectrum. And also, unfortunately, many women are misdiagnosed. It's not spotted, and it can be detected later. So make sure that you take care of yourself. Make sure that you spread joy, spark joy, pick items in your home that make you feel good, and pass down this information to your children. I think it's so important for us to teach our children when they're young so that they have these tools that can last them throughout their lifetime. So again, thank you for watching Holistic Me TV. Thank you, Emily, for being a guest today. And if you would like to learn more about the work that I do, you can go to my website, www.thedancingcurtain.com. You can also get a free gift and again be notified of all these episodes if you go to thedancingcurtain.com/gethealthy. Then you will be notified of these episodes. You will be notified about news, tips, tools, and this will again empower you with your health and wellness. So thanks again, Emily. Thanks again, everyone, for watching today, and continue to watch Holistic Me TV. Have a great day. Bye for now.